We're going to look at angles. Corson, do you mind turning this one off for me, please and thank you? Okay. The two scenarios where sine law is useless, right? It cannot help you, is if you have the angle and two sides are sandwiching that angle, or all three sides, okay? Because both of these, you don't get a pair. And by that I mean angle side pair, right? There's no way, okay? I have to warn you, because this is when some students get this wrong. So let's say, don't copy this, right? Just have like a weird triangle like this. That one looks kind of weird, right? It's a really obtuse angle here. And from time to time, I'll have, like, let's say there's a 100-degree angle right there. And this is 25 meters. This is 19.7 meters, let's say. I don't know, sometimes because it looks weird, you might not notice that it's an SAS, but right, just think about it, right? I have a side, I have the angle that connects it, I have the other side. This is definitely cosine law. Or just think about it, there is no pair. Don't do one of these, right? This is not anybody in this class, so I can do it. Like, hey, look, I have my pair there. It's like, no, they have to be opposite each other, right? So keep that in mind. Okay. All right, let's keep going. The two formulas, I asked you to have, one of each. So when it's SAS and when it's side, side, side. I was thinking, I'm going to fill this with some color today. Okay, the formulas one more time. So maybe I'll just use, if you're trying to find that side, I'm just going to focus on this first formula right here. If you're trying to find that side, then you have this side, just here, and here, right? Shows up twice. And the other side, whatever other color you have, okay, C shows up here, and it should maybe just wait a little bit, see if I sell you on that. I'm not sure if you're convinced. And maybe the last one will be this green angle here that is known to me. I'll just make it nice and visible, right? So that's the angle here. So basically, if you're trying to find that side, it all has to do with the other two sides that remain, and that angle, the only angle that will be known to you. It's the only angle that will be known to you. That's one more thing maybe to keep in mind. If you only know one angle, right, there's a chance. If you know two angles, it's definitely not cosine law. That's another way of looking at it. And then this next one here, side, 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 I might do the same. So if you're trying to solve for this angle here, okay, if that's the one you want to find, then you need to focus on that side, the side that's across from it. So maybe I'll use this again. Okay, this one here. That goes here. Okay, and then the other two sides, I might as well just use the same color. This side, right, which is B, shows up twice again. It's squared on the numerator, it's not squared down there. Shows up one more time here. The C, right? C and C. So there you have it. And yesterday, as I was walking around, some of you were using second function to type in cosine, and it's not, right? This is just regular cosine. The only time you'll have to use second cosine is if once you use this formula here, you're going to have to find the angle, so you're going to have to use the inverse. That's what we're going to do today. Okay. So let's go to page 16. Okay. We did this one, so I'm just gonna go over it. It really, if you remove this, it only takes you 3 lines if you do it the way I show you to do it, right? Typing this in one shot. So you need a decent calculator for that to work. If it doesn't, we need to talk, right? By the way, let's make a note here. Once you find this side, look carefully, right? Once you find A, you have a pair, okay? You now have a pair, right? Which means you can use sine law. But I will say this, there's usually, the way the province sets it up, there's only one law that you can use. There's no instance where you can use either or. There's no instance where it's like, oh, you can use sine law or cosine law. It's just going to be down to just one, okay? So you're going to have to figure that out. But once you find anything, you have a pair, and then you can go over to sine law if you started with cosine law, or the other way around. If you start with sine law and you notice, hey, I've got a side angle side, you may use cosine law. Okay. I will not solve a triangle using sine law. Maybe later if I have time. I want to show you. At first, you must choose one law. Right? So once you have that down, let's go tackle side, side, side. Okay. Come back. Follow me to, we're going to skip 18 for a bit. That's an SAS. I'm going to ask you to do that to warm up. We're going to go to 20, page 20. Okay. Cosine law to solve for angle measures. So let's tackle this. Solve for angle A. So it's this one right here. Okay, we want that one right there. You notice it's side, side, side. So you have to use cosine law. So the way we would find cosine law is this. You got to start with cosine of whatever angle you're interested in finding. Then you go equals, make a longer line. And I will use a red pen for this part. What I would suggest you do is you focus on the side that's across from it, right? Focus on that side. So the 18 is the number you want subtracting and squared at the end here. There's going to be, maybe I should have started like that. There's always going to be two numbers adding and one subtracting, always. So you start with the 18 squared at the end. And then you take the other two, it doesn't matter which order, it does not matter. You take those and square them. That's what cosine law calls for. And then in the denominator, it's 2 times, guess what, the 22 times the 30. Just like that. And let's figure out what we get. Grab your calculator. I'm going to say this, don't do this all in one shot. Don't do the whole thing in one shot. There's chances of you getting it wrong are really high if you do that. I'm going to do the top separately and then figure out what the denominator gives me. So 22 squared plus 30 squared minus 18 squared. And you should get 1,060. Clear your screen. And then I go 2 times 22 times 30. That's 1320. I think one of the common mistakes is students at the top here, they just multiply the whole thing. It's like 22 squared times 30 squared times negative, and it just gets this huge number. It's adding and subtracting, okay? Make sure you get that. So here we have that. Now let's divide it. So 1060 divided by 1320. And don't clear your screen right now. Just leave it. Again, it should start with a 0. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble when you're trying to find an angle. And so this is basically one long line. So the next line is as follows. So you're just going to go A, angle A. And what's going to be on the other side, do you think? Cosine inverse of 0.803, and that keeps going. So technically 3 lines as well. So leave this on your screen. I'm going to go shift cosine, not sine, because you're cosine law, right? And you get 3657. No, not 57. 58. Yeah, sorry. There we go. You've got angle A right there. And now you have a pair. You could go over to sine law if you wanted to. But I'm sticking with cosine today to practice it. One more time. Determine the measure of the largest angle. Which one would that be based on the triangle? It's across the longest side. Which one is the longest side? Don't look at the lines themselves, look at the values. 30 is the longest side, so angle C is what we want. We want this one. I'm going to let you do this one, at least set it up, right? So I'm going to ask you to go cosine of C equals, make a long line, and just fill in the numbers. It should be plus, then minus, and at the bottom it should be 2 times something times something. See if you can figure that out. Just to warm up. I know that there was something about 104. So let's see how you did here. If C is the angle you want, go up here and just put, right? Then this is the side that's going to be subtracting, the one that's across. So that's the first one I encourage you to write down. And then you're left with the other two. So those are the fillers, right? So those you fill. 22 squared, 18 squared, 2 times 22 times 18. So this is all multiplying down here. So now let's figure out what we get. There's something interesting here that you have to make sure you understand. So you square it, you get a negative. That's not an accident. Okay, so make sure you write that down. Denominator is 2 times 22 times 18. That's 792. We're going to highlight this part. Okay. That tells us something about this scenario. I'm just going to say. So let's divide negative 92 by 792. I don't know if your calculator is going to allow you to enter negative 92. Mine does. Watch, I just go negative 92 divided by 792, and then it's going to give me a negative answer. If yours doesn't, just go 92 divided by 792, but make sure you know it's going to be a negative answer. So that's 0.116, and that keeps going. Okay. That I'm going to highlight. Okay, and I'm going to make a big note on this. That, right, tells us we will get an obtuse angle. What's obtuse? Greater than 90. Okay, greater than 90 degrees. That's all we know about that scenario. That's why it's there. Let me just move my stuff a bit here. There you go. So now we can do that final step. Angle C, just angle C, is cosine inverse of, watch this, negative 0.116 dot dot dot. And this is, I guess, where it's important to get the negative in here somewhere using your calculator. Some of you have a plus minus button on at the very bottom of your calculator. Some of you might have to. So am I blocking your view? Some of you are still copying, so go for it. Some of you might have to multiply by negative. So whatever, if you got 0.116, just multiply, go times -1, you get a negative there. But you have to get the negative or else you'll not get the answer. Let's go shift or second, right? Cosine of that, you get 96.67 degrees, which is what we expected, right? What's the measure of the remaining angle? We have B. Can we turn that off? It's blasting their music there. Don't get me wrong. It sounded like good music, but not now. Okay, at the bottom here, to find that last remaining angle, I'm just going to go 180 minus the 2 that I already know, and that's 46.75. I think that goes without saying, right? There you go. You have all 3 angles are known to you. Okay, I want you to practice this on the next page here on 21, and I'm going to come around. Some of you I expect will have some calculator issues. That's okay. We can figure that out. So go to page 21. I want you to start with P, angle P. That's the first one you're going to find. And then I want you to find the rest as well. So go to 21. It says solve the triangle. You may use any law. I will be okay with that, but I'm going to focus on cosine law today. So solve for P first. So you're going to go cosine of P, and you're going to fill that in, right? I want you to solve for angle P. Hint, hint, it's going to be obtuse. I'm telling you already. And I'm going to walk around and see if you're doing okay. On page 19, there's 2 things you need to watch out for. Read the question carefully. It doesn't just ask you to solve a side. It wants to know how much further it would be to travel the other way. So there are 2 numbers you're looking for. Once you calculate the missing side, it's this. If you want to know how much further, it's 467.91 meters further. Okay, so that's page 19 if you want to give that a shot. If you're doing 21 still and you want to know where you're at, here are the answers to page 21. P is 107.64, which I saw a lot of. Q is 3108. R is 41.28. Those are, if you calculate them, that's what they are. Is it okay if I'm going to have page 19 show up there so you can have the answers to 19? So we go to 19 and then we go to 22. 22 is not cosine law, not the first question. If you draw it, try to solve it, it's not cosine law. But first do this one, then go to 22. It's a bit of a mix today. Okay. So I would write this down on page 23. Can I just interrupt you for a little bit? I'm just going to give you some more keys. I'm not going to scan these. I don't know where they are right now. But if you go to page 22, I'll just give you some of the measurements you need to know. U is 102. F, side F is 25.6 inches. And side N is 22.49. Then go down 22, the bottom of 22. I'm going to do this halfway here. X is 133.94. Y is 28.69. Z is 17.37. This is for the second question on page 22. So make sure you write those down so you know whether or not you're on the right track. Okay, even if you want to review later for the test, you're like, oh, I'm going to try this one, see if I still remember what I'm supposed to be doing here. Do you want me to do page 22? You want me to do this question? I'm going to get you started, okay? Whether you like it or not, so just tune me out if you don't want to hear me. Because this one is important for you to know, right? So what I do is I start with my triangle that looks kind of off-centered. So it doesn't matter where you start, okay? It does not matter. Your triangle will look different if you start elsewhere, but you'll still be okay. So if you start with F down here, then it's FUN. But don't be changing things if you've started F up top here. It doesn't matter. So angle F is 42 degrees, N is 36, and side U is 37.42. You will notice, no matter how you drew this, that you have two angles and the side that connects them. Okay, so that's always going to be the case. What do you start with here? If I give you this on the AC tomorrow, cosine law, you don't have all sides, and you don't have side angle side, right? You need at least two sides for cosine law to work. So not good. So what I would do is start with angle U, right? That's what I would do. If you have two angles, you just go 180 minus 42 minus 36. What is it? It's 102, right? If you believe my key. So that would be step number 1. That's usually even worth a mark just for that step. And then you plug that in. I'll use a different color, right? I solve for it. And now you have a pair. See that? You have a pair. So I would go sine law there. So sine of 102 over 3742. And then you go, which one do you want to find? Which side? It doesn't specify, right? So if you want to find side F, then you have to use sine of 42. That's a pattern, right? If you want the side, it's usually across, it's always across the angle. So this is F like that. And then you kind of break this down, and you could do the exact same thing again. You have your pair, make sure they're together. And now you're going to use this angle, 36, to find side N, right? So it's basically the same thing all over again. What else should I say here? Oh, be sure that if I throw, because on the AC it's not just going to be cosine, right? So you got to watch out. If the question specifically asks you, hey, find side F, remember you have two options, but you got to pick 42 degrees to find side F. So make sure you practice this. If you need more practice past this page, if you go to 23 with me, right, page 23, the key is on page 26, okay, where these triangles are completely filled in with numbers, even the angles, so you can compare if you're doing it right. This is what? Side, side, side. So you would use cosine law to get started, okay? What's this one here? Side, angle, side, cosine law again, right? So you'd have to use cosine law here. And then these ones are all cosine. What about, let's keep going. I'm going to 24 here. Yeah, this one is cosine again. But then here, finally, you've got your pair, right? Now you have to start with sine law. This angle allows you to solve for this side, and then you kind of work through it, okay? Good work, guys. We'll see each other tomorrow.